Hello, and welcome to your next lesson. Today we will review the radar chart for Microsoft Excel. The radar chart is also known as a spider chart and is used to demonstrate data in a two-dimensional chart relative to a central point for multiple data series. The axes start at the same point in a radar chart. This chart can be used to visualize team performances and can help identify strengths and weaknesses as today's video will demonstrate. Please open your Visual Data worksheet and go to the Radar tab to follow along in this lesson. Hello and welcome to the Radar Chart tab. Today, we're going to be looking at our sales process and identifying weaknesses in our team. The categories that we will map today are prospect, connect, qualify, present, and close. We're going to create a radar chart. Then we will review the results to identify where the weaknesses lie in each individual team member. Let's begin by selecting A1. Let's drag it all the way down and over until all of our data is covered. Let's go ahead and say Insert. Let's select Recommended Charts. Let's go ahead and say All Charts, and let's go ahead and select Radar. Let's go ahead and say OK. Our radar chart is now on the screen. Let's go ahead and stretch it out and view our results. Okay, so I want to look at Frank first. Now I purposely gave Frank high scores for demonstration and comparison purposes. Okay, so Frank has 10s across the board, and as you can see, he has filled the radar chart at each point on the end. Okay, now let's compare Carol to Frank. Now Carol is marked by the blue. Okay, so let's identify Carol's weaknesses and her strengths. Okay, so Carol has an 8 in terms of prospects. So she has an okay score in terms of getting the prospects. But her weaknesses comes in when she qualifies, present, and close. So Carol needs to do some work in these areas in order to be successful in sales. Again, she has a high score in terms of prospecting and connecting, but she falls short when it comes to qualifying, presenting, and closing. My suggestion will be to work on presenting because that will directly affect the closing. Okay, so next I would like to take a look at Jim. And looking at the graph for Jim, he's almost the exact opposite of Carol. Jim has great scores when it comes to qualifying, presenting, and closing, but he stumbles out the gate with prospecting and connecting. My recommendation for Jim will be to make prospects a priority because he has an extremely low score in prospects, and that would likely affect the connecting once those scores come up. Okay, so finally, let's go ahead and take a look at Sandy's scores. So Sandy is marked by the yellow graph, and she almost has a similar story as Carol. She scores very high in terms of prospecting, and she falls around the 8 in terms of connecting. But when it comes to qualifying her customer, presenting, and closing, she falls short. She scored a 4 in terms of closing, so Sandy has a lot of work to do in terms of qualifying and especially presenting. Again, presenting is what will sell your customers, which will directly affect your closing. So my recommendation for Sandy will be the same as Carol, to make presenting a priority. Okay, and before we wrap up this lesson, I do want to inform you that you can place markers on your chart. Let's go ahead and select our chart. Let's go change chart type. Let's go ahead and select radar with markers, and let's go ahead and say OK. Alright, so this will further help you identify the points in your graph. So that's just the FYI. And with that being said, I will wrap up this lesson. I hope you found this information helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so that wraps up this video. Job well done today. Be sure to save your work and then celebrate your accomplishments. Great job.